I only have like 5 fucking hands. I hate reviewing
Alright.
hands on this fucking Pocket. It's a piece of
Yeah,
garbage.
it is shitty. I have switched to playing Merge, right? So I will have hands now that are in Poker Tracker.
Yes. Awesome. So yeah, we'll just go over some random subset of hands I have. Have you been having deep runs? Well, this is a pretty deep run. Like,
Yeah, it's been really frustrating. Like I feel like every session I have like a bunch of semi deep runs, and then I'll have like one or two deep runs that don't result in a very good score. Like I've been getting a lot of 12 through sixth place, like 7 through 12, that kind of stuff.
well, that's a really good sign. I mean, I think we should just hammer home some basic ICM shit and just really look at these deep run spots and try and improve from there. Because a lot of people I coach just don't get deep and don't get chances, and that's when they lose heaps of money, you know?
hmm Yeah.
When you're getting like these deep runs 12 through 6, I think that's like you moving closer to break even. Although I could just be full of shit.
Yeah, I mean,
I always have that caveat. So in anything I say, just keep that caveat in mind.
will do. I feel like the fast like this year so far, basically every spot, like every deep run I've had, I've been very happy with my play at the final two or three tables, and like every bust out that sticks out in my head is like pretty. I mean, I've run hands by other people, and everyone seems to agree that it's like they're mostly pretty standard spots to get it in. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like I don't want to just like blame variance, but
I mean,
I've had a
there's a ton of variance, especially on fucking Bovada, because it's so shallow, right?
yeah,
A lot of the spots, though, in late game are. It's really hard to know when you're missing spots, especially in late game, because a lot of it's flow orientated, table dynamics, and no one can know that when you just send them a raw hand history.
yeah, yeah,
So it's picking up on that stuff. So, but anyways, I think we should talk about hammering home the fundamentals of ICM because they're super complex and different, and figuring out the principles of them is pretty important.
yeah. That definitely sounds good. Yeah. I just did a review the other day with you know Mike Snyderman, right? The
Yes. I was gonna
he
say what he shipped, but I guess that's a bit of a secret.
yeah. So anyway, he had another deep run in a Sunday major recently, and we reviewed that. He final tabled it, and I think he got like eighth place. Um, but it was really surprising how little. I mean, not to like discredit him at all, but he. Most of us in the chat in the review really didn't know much about ICM, and like he would ask about a spot that was like just seemed way off as far as ICM, and then when we ran the spots, it was like it just. I feel like most people don't really understand how ICM changes from Chippy V.
Yes, and then the subtle factors of them is pretty difficult, and then there's like metagame factors that go into ICM. It's why MTTs are really tough.
Yeah.
And I'll show you some shit. Hopefully, we can find some cool hands, and I can show you some shit. Anyways,
All right.
so this fucker limps. I don't know why I call him
Uh,
a fucker,
I,
but he
I
does.
I don't have your screen.
Oh, this is like, God. You have no idea how many times I do this. More than like any other coach on the planet. I swear. Okay. Anyways, this dude limps. This is your bust out hand. Sure you remember it.
Yeah. This drove me crazy. Yeah.
So to answer this question, like, you're gonna have to tell me something about. I mean, this isn't going into fundamentals, but this has to do with game flow and psychology type of spot.
Yeah.
So, what do you think we should think about in those terms? Like, if we're thinking in those terms, like, what the fuck do we think about?
Well, basically, what I thought about in game was what had happened previously at the final table, and so the way that this final table was started playing was that this guy with the chip lead, he has a pretty huge chip lead on everyone, and he'd been opening a ton. I think that he'd been very active, and I'm pretty sure I had 3-bet reshoved on his opens a couple of times already, and he folded. He raised folded to my 3-bet shove,
Yep.
and so when he limps here, I kind of felt that he would be doing that because he didn't want me to reshove on him again. So I expected that with the top of his range, he would be leaning more towards raise calling since he had been so active and I had 3-bet him. And I felt that when he limped, he may have like some sort of medium strength hand where he doesn't really want to raise call. So I actually really didn't think he would have like aces or kings here.
Alright.
But
So remember we talked about hand reading, going hand for hand? Like going
yeah,
hand by hand?
yeah.
So do the same thing here. Like, what hands do you think he could possibly limp here? So you're talking about medium strength hands. What hands are you talking about?
Um, like 4s through 8s, Jack 10 off, Jack 9 suited, Jack 8 suited.
Alright, so let's just start with one, okay? Pocket fours. Alright, so
Okay.
we're just going to make this as simple as possible. You have pocket fours, you're in his shoes.
Mm,
What do you think he does?
I have no idea. I mean, I was way off about his limping range, so I guess I mean, like, he's been raising everything, so I would expect that he would. This is the first time he limped at the final table, I'm pretty sure. So if I'm in his shoes, I have all these chips, and I've been opening every hand. I would just still open the 4s, but
Okay.
I wouldn't really have a limping range though.
Yeah.
So I'm not like it's hard for me to project what I would do on to hit him. But
Yeah, so a key thing is like what size would you open to with your fours?
I've been raised.
Okay. You want to just rip here?
Mm, actually, yeah, I probably would just rip. Yeah, now that you mentioned it.
Yeah, and the thing, like, so the question is, has he been ripping? Because he has a bunch of great spots to rip at this table.
Mm-hmm.
Has he been doing that when he decides to play a pot?
I don't think he had. No.
Yeah, so it's a tough question because like the average player on Bovada could just have any like random amount of skill level. But if you think he's like any bit competent with shoving and like he's all these medium strength hands, you know, if you go down the list, like this is a shove, that's 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 a shove. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, yeah, but my problem with that is like
We don't know
that's
if he knows that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no hand makes sense to limp. Yeah.
Well,
And
that's yeah.
it's just, so yeah, I mean, I shouldn't have talked about this hand first because it's very strange. Here's a question though. How wide do you think he could jam? Let's just get into fundamentals here. How wide do you think cutoff can jam here?
Uh, just profitably, you mean? Just like,
Yeah, yeah.
can you go back to the? Oh, you have the numbers typed in there.
Uh, Here you go. You go back to the hand.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a 13 bigs, 9 bigs. You could probably shove like 80% or something.
Yeah, it's super wide.
Maybe even any two. I don't know. Yeah, like 80. I would say around 80. If I'm just throwing a guess out there.
Yeah. So, let's see. Let's hope this pace works. That would be cool.
Do they support Bovada on the?
We'll see if they support them. If they are supporters of the Bovada campaign.
I've been playing around with ICMizer more lately too.
Do you like it for like tweaking with numbers and shit?
Yeah, I do. I think I like it. I don't know. There's some things I like better about each one. Like I think,
I'd say the same.
yeah,
It's great to just run a spot and see what every single person can do right away, like in Hold'em resources, but It's so hard to just tweak a number and then
Yeah,
it takes so long.
exactly. Yeah.
Work, work, work. What? It says supported as Bovada. And I just copy pasted a Bovada.
Do you have to do the whole file instead of just like one hand?
Let's try that.
Oh no, maybe not. Oh, so see the load hands slash tournaments button. I think that would be the whole file.
Where's that?
Underneath the one you just clicked.
Text looks like 10,000 industries. This isn't gonna work.
Yeah, that doesn't seem right.
No. I should probably just hit cancel on that. Open file.
Yeah, there you go.
I gotta find this motherfucker. Where did I put you? I put you in the desktop. Put you in folder 3. Oh great, I have a billion of them. Let's see if we could do a sort by. Date last open.
There you go. Very clever. Clever of you.
Thank you for the condescending backward compliment. So those are always appreciated. Alright, let's load these. Point 3.
Oh,
Here we go.
It's actually gonna work.
One motherfucking time. I'd just be so happy if something we do works this month.
Yeah.
January is not our month, bro.
Seems like, yeah, no, I agree. Nothing is going right.
Go, 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 go. I feel bad for the watchers of this.
They can just fast forward.
Oh, that's pretty. Look at that.
Oh, nice. That's cool. Yeah.
It's very... Oh, cool. It doesn't have our bust out hand. That's totes.
Oh, that's lovely. How does it not? Oh, wait. It only has 120 hands. Is that the whole tournament?
This might be a wrong tournament or something.
Yeah, maybe.
I think I picked the wrong fucking tournament. You know? How did I do that last time? Load hand slash tournament. Open file with histories. Let's sort by date added. I'd like to see the names better.
It's it should be the 110 dash. Oh, maybe I'm trying to find it on my computer and see what it's called.
It's probably this one yesterday. You know, I might have downloaded this yesterday. No.
Yeah, that looks like the right one. Yeah.
It does?
Yeah.
That's cool how they do that. It's pretty over there.
Yeah.
Fuck. Alright, 269 hands. Let's see your bust out. If it will allow me to. Cool. Ah, man. My mouse does not want to work now either. Life is tricky. Alright. It won't let me scroll down. Alright, we're just gonna load these fucking things.
All right. How's the book thing coming? Are you still working on that?
Yeah, it's just really unorganized, but you know, just kind of enjoying the whole thing and writing. And I don't,
Yeah.
if I write something and I don't finish it, like that's fine, and I move on to something else, and then go back to it and just reading shit and researching. I stumbled upon this cool article, and it had this quote by Darwin. Ignorance more frequently begets confidence than does knowledge.
Huh. Interesting quote. Yeah.
And it has to do with the bias, the superiority the illusory superiority bias that people think that they're better than average at things. So I think there was like one study where 90% of people thought they were better than average at psychology, 90% of people thought they were better than average at math or this or that or that. And the correlation to how wrong people were, the worse they were at a skill, the better they thought they were.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. It's funny. Is it like I hear so many people on poker podcasts and stuff talk about how like the better they get at poker, the more they realize how bad they suck.
Yeah, it's a
Like,
very common thing.
yeah,
Yeah, it's very true. So the problem is that the skills that you need to kind of assess how good you are the same skills you need to be good. So if you're not good, you're not going to be able to self-assess yourself because you don't have those skills. So you get what I mean? It's just this weird,
yeah,
it's so hard to learn. Like you can't know you're good, your grammar is bad unless you understand grammar, right?
yeah. It makes sense. Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it's just a super tricky spot. So this we're gonna do we're gonna do 300 man MTT. It's pretty close. So you said you could jam 80%.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna calculate the the Nashers, and you are wrong. It's 66. It's 88%. You're
That was
basically
pretty close.
yeah. I thought it said 66 because I can't read.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's 88%.
And you know, if you look at what they should be calling, can we see what they should be calling if he jams that range?
Yeah.
2, 7, and 9.
Pocket tens for this guy.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense, but it's like it's still kind of crazy just that he can jam just about anything, and this guy still has to fold everything but this.
Yeah. So I mean, he should jam just about everything. So limping just doesn't make sense if he's any, but whatever. So the question here is, how can we play around with these numbers to kind of get a better understanding of the spot? Like, it's not good just to look at this one spot and know you could shove 88%. I mean, it's good, but it's not optimal.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we do?
So your question is, how do we
tweak the spot so we get a better understanding?
Give one of the villains a much bigger stack. Like, so right now the chip leader has a huge lead on everyone.
Mm-hmm.
What's he have for? I don't see his stack.
1.4 million.
Oh, it looks okay on the actual table. It looks weird, but okay. So like, give someone 800K or something. Like, give Button 800K, and
all right. So this guy would have to shove like 27 bigs or something effectively.
oh yeah. So I guess that doesn't really. Yeah, that's a little different for an open. Give him like 600,
Sure.
because that's still 20 big blinds is still reasonable.
Okay, so we give 600 and make sure you calculate Nash too, okay? So that way you're not changing two variables.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, and then you make a guess of what's going to happen, but you already seen the fucking answer.
Yeah.
What would you have guessed if I told you the guess?
I mean, it's gonna sound like
biased.
Yeah, but I really was gonna say about 10 to 15% less, which seems like it's about that, but
Yep.
yeah.
So here's the thing I want to know. So if we change this one stack by position, right? So
What'd you say?
So we changed that guy to 600K, right?
Right.
And it was like a 10% difference.
Mm-hmm.
Let me make sure and calculate properly. Calculate Nash. So I went from 88 to, what does that say? 73.
Yep.
Okay. So I want to understand, like, if positionally this matters, right? So we gave one guy 600K. What if we gave the small blind 600K instead? So see if, like, the value of position changes.
Sure.
So what do you think happens? Do you think it just stays at 73? You think it goes higher or lower?
I think my guess would be that the chip leader would have to jam slightly less, because a slightly tighter range, because the bigger stack being in the small blind can call off a bit wider since there's only one more person left to act. So being in the small blind versus the button, you should be able to call off maybe like a few more combos of hands, maybe like one more pocket pair or something like that.
Okay, and so you think it's slightly less, so you're guessing like 65 to 70.
Yeah, you have to do. So, quick question: when you click calculate, how is that different from clicking calculate Nash?
Oh,
Is
fuck.
it?
I supposed to calculate Nash, my bad.
Well, what is the difference? I'm just curious because I didn't know.
Oh,
Oh
so
wow, I was way wrong about that.
it went up to 90.
See, now I don't get that. I don't get why that is that different.
And what was the stack before? 420.
Something for something, yeah.
Let's make sure I calculated Nash here. So when you hit calculate Nash, notice what happens to the calling ranges. They change.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so 70, 78? Wasn't it 73 last time?
Yeah, I thought it was.
Okay, maybe I didn't hit calculate Nash. But I changed this guy to fucking 600k and it goes up. It's fucking shenanigans.
Yeah, see, I don't understand that.
It goes up to 85, actually.
Okay.
What the fuck's going on?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Tricky, huh? Alright, let's gather more info. So, do you think the trend will continue if I make this guy 600k?
I don't think it should. No,
Okay, so you think it's gonna go lower, stay the same?
I think it should go lower
Alright.
because two reasons. One is because his stack was shorter than the other two, so we increased it by a bigger amount, going from 300 to 600 instead of 400 to 600. Also, he is in the big blind, which means he has no one else left to act, which means he knows he's going to be heads up if he calls. So he should be able to call wider.
Alright. So let's see. Went
What
up.
the hell? How? I don't get it.
95%. So if you choose the right experiments, you get some weird fucking things. And let's do this correctly, okay? So the problem was we ran this experiment and we changed their stack sizes by different amounts, right? Let's
Yeah.
make sure we add 200,000 to everybody, okay? So let's do this again. We're adding 200,000. We're calculating Nash. Because that was a poor experiment. Because we had a 200, 200, and then 300, which was stupid. Okay, so 78.
But wasn't it just 73 last time?
I didn't do the Nash properly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
78. And then we changed this guy, and this was 85, if you remember correctly. 78, 85. Let's just give this guy 200,000. Okay? So adding 200,000 chips to either opponent now goes to 97.
Jesus.
Pretty fucking counterintuitive, eh?
It is, yeah. And I mean, I'm starting to think about reasons why it goes that way. It's because, I mean, when the big blind was the short stack before, so his stack's not worth as much as it is now. So maybe when his stack isn't worth as much, and when he's the short stack, he should be calling off wider.
Well, how do we test that theory?
Well, you could change his stack back to what it was before. So like the 300.
Yep, so his calling range is 3%, right?
Yeah.
Calculate Nash, again, with the regular stack. His calling range was 9%.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
So, what is the principle here?
Well, I guess the principle is when you're the chip leader, you can punish the bigger stacks a lot more. Like when the big blind here has a bigger stack, you can punish him a lot more and jam wider since his stack is worth so much more. where when he's a short stack, you actually have to jam tighter, which is a little bit surprising. But I mean, it is a bit counterintuitive, but
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Yes, so the effects of position is a pretty big deal here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so your shoving range should change a lot if this is 500, 300, 300 versus 500, 300, 300. If you can see where the fuck I'm clicking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Such a shitty coach. The worst ever. Alright. Anyways, you got it somehow. You're like 1 in 100 people could get that nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely need to spend more time with ICM, but I have spent, I think, enough time to get like the basic idea of how things change. But like, I mean, at first I was wrong. I thought it was going to be the other way.
Yeah,
So,
so yeah, the reason I kind of knew where to experiment is because I knew position was an interesting factor. I actually didn't know the answers to these questions. I would have the same answer as you, by the way. But I knew to change position. And the other thing I know we should change and fuck around with is calling ranges.
yeah.
So let's experiment with that.
Okay.
All right, what do you want to tweak?
So we're still working on what hero can jam. And
Yeah.
okay. I mean, let's see. Button hates Cutoff's face because he's jamming every hand. So Button is going to call 6% instead of 2.3 or something like that. Like he's gonna let's say he's gonna call like sevens plus Ace King and just Ace Queen suited. How about that? Or yeah, Ace Queen. About all Ace Queens, I guess, is pretty reasonable.
All right, what do you think it's gonna go down to?
Uh, okay, cut up. He has 400K. I think it's gonna go down to 70 to 75%.
I'm gonna guess 50.
Okay.
Yes,
Damn it.
I'm the best.
Nice guess. Well done, sir.
Why do you think you were wrong about the severity of the change?
Basically, I mean, because I haven't looked at these sims much. I don't know. I mean, I was surprised. I guess I didn't think it would change as much as it did because I didn't think that when hero jams, when Button is calling 6% instead of 2, I still don't think like it still doesn't really mean that hero has to go see a showdown very often. Like the difference didn't seem that much between 2 and 6, 2.3% and 6% in terms of how often hero has to go to showdown and realize his equity. Like he's still going to take it down free very often.
Yeah.
So I didn't think that it would be that dramatic of a change.
Okay, so let's. So what should we do now?
What if we put Button's calling range back to what it was before,
Okay.
and then change Big Blind's calling range
Cool.
since he's a shorty? He's sick of being short. He's going to call a 5s plus, Ace 7 suited plus.
I wish we could tweak the ranges like an equivalent amount. You know what I mean? Like, but the problem is like we increase this by 4%, but increasing this by 4 isn't exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And we tripled his range. He went from like 2 to 6. If we triple this range to 27, that's absurd.
Yeah.
So we're kind of changing the variables in different ways. So it's not that great of like a scientific experiment. Anyways, go ahead.
I think that's good. The range you have there, I think, is pretty good.
Okay, so we increased the range by like a third and extra 3%. What do you think's gonna happen?
Again, I think Hero's going to have to tighten up his jamming range. I think it's going to be less significant than the previous one we did. So I think maybe like 70%.
It's a pretty good guess. I'm gonna guess 73.2 just for shenanigans.
What is this? The Price is Right? You're just trying to over.
63.
We both lose.
We both pretty big effect for such a relatively smaller change.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I think this is a common situation too,
Yeah.
where I think it's very common, especially on US sites, where you can't jam as wide as you should be able to in ICM situations because people don't understand ICM and they're going to call off way too wide, I think, in a lot of spots.
Yeah, it's a very important principle. Let's tweak it a little bit further. I'm just curious and kind of taking reins on this one. So what if we added that? What do you think it goes to now?
So you just gave him 14%?
Yeah, so I just added another 2%.
I mean, I don't think it'll change that much. 55%?
I'm gonna go with 50
Okay.
or 54.9. Oh no, that's like the worst price of right move possible.
Such a dick move.
50.
What did I say? I said 50, right?
You said 55, fucker.
I know.
So yeah, it's 50. So
Yeah.
So
Okay.
do you think we could say like the effects are bigger when the big blind calls more than he should?
I don't know.
All right. So it's I don't know. So let's gather a bit more data.
I don't think that should be the case, but
So let's try small blind because these are pretty comparable, right?
yeah.
Like if I take this from 2.7 to 6, that's pretty close to the same type of increase, right? Seem fair?
Um, the same as what?
The
Doing
button, the button.
Yeah.
So they're pretty damn close. Last time it went down to 50, right? Do we think this is gonna be 50, or do you think it's gonna be higher or lower?
It should be about the same, I would think, since their stack sizes are very similar.
Okay. Yep. Nice guess. Well done, sir.
Thank you. That wasn't even a coin flip either. I had three options for answers.
That's true. um. So position didn't affect it much there.
Yeah.
Why was there such a big effect on the big blind? The effect, or we wasn't sure the effect was bigger, was we?
No. There was earlier. One of the things we did earlier, though, the effect was pretty big. I can't remember.
The positional stuff you're talking about.
Oh, when we changed stack sizes, like we changed each position stack size, it made a big difference.
Yeah.
I think in changing the big blind's stack size. And I think that's just because. Well, we kind of talked about it already about just big blind has to call off a lot tighter if he has 600K or 500K here.
Yeah. All right. I want to get to the bottom of this. I'm curious. So, if I add this hand, just that. So that just goes down to 79. And then if I add ace, queen, and nines, that's a huge difference. Jumps out to 66. If we add eights and sevens, that goes to 50. If we add ace, queen, it goes to 50. So it doesn't matter who's doing the calling wider than Nash. Well, it doesn't matter who's doing the calling wider than Nash, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know if I agree with that. What if we
Well, it does. Sorry to interrupt. It does matter because their stack sizes matter.
Yeah.
Like if like button and small blind, it doesn't matter that much because both their stacks are pretty close. But I think that if they had like 800K and 300K, it would matter a lot which one is calling wider.
Yeah. What if I kept put this guy's stack up four bigs, and then gave him that wide calling range again? Do you think this will have like a much different effect?
I do, yeah. I think it'll be pretty significant.
Yeah. So like that or something.
Yeah,
Cool.
that looks good. Yeah.
It goes on to 22.
Yeah, huge, huge. Wow.
Whoa.
That's kind of crazy.
So, given that stack sizes are the same, who's calling wider than Nash is a big deal. Does that seem fair?
So his Nash range was 9%, right? The big blind.
Yeah, I took it. Oh wait, fuck. What is this Nash shut here?
Yeah, because we didn't do that, right? We didn't.
Yeah, I didn't renash it because I'm a fish.
Yeah. See, so that's a huge change.
That's a
Once
huge
you,
jump. Okay,
yeah,
let me increase this like by see not being able to increase it and like the same increase really fucks up the whole thing. Maybe I should
yeah,
take up to 6% again, like the other dudes.
yeah. That'd be about similar, right? I mean, it's a little different, but
Yeah, it's not a perfect experiment,
see, now it's like a lot more reasonable.
but the effect's really small here.
Well,
It's
wasn't his hero's push range like 90 something before?
well, if we change this guy to six, it's oh wait. If we change this guy to 6%, his shove range goes to oh no wait. See, the problem is we're fucking with variables, and now
Yeah. See, because as soon as you change the big blind stack, it changes everything again.
yeah,
Even the sim we already just did changes because now
yeah,
see it. Yeah.
86% he could shove, and now it goes to. So this is the problem with fucking running sims. So
Yeah, there's just so many little variables.
yeah, so the problem is we can't control. Yeah, so now he goes to fucking any two. So it's we're running like we're not controlling for the other variables.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so did we learn anything about this spot?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
About the stack size, about the calling ranges. I mean, specifically.
um, yeah, I mean, I think we learned that I think it depends more on stacks, like who's the one calling too wide. It depends, like the effect of that depends more on stack size than it does on position, I think.
Yeah,
So like it doesn't like if we're jamming cutoff and one of these guys calls like significantly wider than Nash, we don't really care which position they're in. I don't. Well, I guess somewhat, but we don't really care that much which position the wide callers in. We care more about what their stack is
yeah.
for sure.
Okay, so one more thing I want to see: if all three of them call wider than Nash, how wide can we shove? Because I think this is a common spot. You're deep in a Bovada tourney, and you feel like all three of them don't know fucking ICM. Does that seem fair?
Yes, absolutely. All nine of them. I mean,
Hold on one
including.
second. Had a runny nose for like 2 weeks. Yeah, so this is a very common spot. So if they all call with like pretty practical ranges, probably fucked here. How wide do you think we could jam here?
Did you just adjust all three of the ranges up?
Yeah, I adjust all three of them to that
Okay.
6, 6, and
Yeah,
12.
and I think that that's like not that unreasonable on Bovada. That this is probably the case, like pretty frequently.
Nobody's fucking folding ace king, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Even though they should, but sometimes anyway. But so I think that our jamming range is going to get stomped here. Like we're going to have like 30% maybe or something. Even like
I was gonna guess 32. 17?
holy shit.
What? Alright,
Yeah.
let's tweak this a bit more too. Like, let's take off sevens. Let's take off ace queen off. So this is like, these are all hands we could be pretty confident that nobody is fucking folding on Bovada. Seem
Oh
fair?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think this is tight, honestly,
Yeah.
for a lot of the time.
Yeah. Nobody's folding these. Nobody's folding these to your shove on Bovada. So this is probably what we should shove.
Especially if you've already been quite active. So yeah,
Yeah. So, man, I don't want to shove that much here.
I wouldn't shove. Yeah, I mean like because the ranges you just set. I think a lot of times people are calling it wider than that. So I mean somewhere between 15 and 30%. I think our profitable shoving range.
I mean, I can make a pretty good argument for saying they call ace queen and shoving this range.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What's that? 21? Yeah, I mean that seems pretty reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can look at ICM and see the spot and be like, oh, ICM jam 80 some percent, but
Yeah.
it's the spot's so fucking sensitive.
And I think for a little while last year, I was actually making some pretty big ICM mistakes because I think I did that. Like, I didn't go far enough with it. I analyzed, like, what can I jam just based on Nash? And I started jamming quite a bit wider in these spots. And then I didn't take this step to adjust for how bad the players are playing and how much wider than Nash they're calling. I don't know if I want to call it bad. I mean, yeah, it is kind of bad, but
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
yeah.
Uh,
I definitely was making some ICM blunders with my jams.
Alright, so things we learned is that these spots are really fucking sensitive to calling ranges and to the position of the big stack is really important. Like
Yep.
the later the position of the big stack, the wider we could jam. And that was basically it, right?
The later the position of the big stack, yeah, and then yeah, I mean those were the big things
Yeah. Alright, I just want to change this guy to 2 million and see what happens. 31%.
versus the same calling ranges.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
And 3 million? 41. If I go 9, I just want to go 9 million here. 62.
Wow.
Alright, I'm gonna give him 19 million.
Isn't it GTO to just sit out if you have that many chips at this point?
It might be the best play. What if I give him 99 million? 74. What if I give him 199 million? I think 74.4 is the threshold.
Yeah.
Alright, okay.
Huh, interesting. Yeah.
Alright, so anyways, like figuring out like how to tweak shit like that is pretty cool. You can take a
Yeah.
simple hand and learn a lot about ICM. Like that applies to all spots, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't, and there's all these nuances and shit, but whatevs. One more thing I'm curious about. So, I fucked a stack. What was the stack?
That was the chip leader. Yeah, 1.4.
Yeah, let's take off that 0. Okay. What if I did 5 players? So calculate Nash, 5 players. Do you think that changes anything?
Yeah. Oh, too late. I saw the answer, but yeah, it definitely does.
I went to 96 from 85, I think. Right?
I don't remember what it was before, but
It's because you're stupid.
you're the dumbest person alive.
Alright, yeah, so I went from, I was wrong too, so 88 to 95.
Yeah.
What if I go to 7 players?
It will change. I think it will become. I mean, it depends on. I think it depends on stack size of the extra player, but
You know how stupid I am? I went to cover my hand over the answer so you wouldn't see it.
oh my god. I'm not looking. My eyes are closed right now. I'm thinking. Okay, so you went from 6 to 7 players. We are still folded to in the cutoff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that. Okay. I think that we can jam wider. I don't know. I think we should be able to jam wider.
You guessed right. I would have guessed tighter, but now it's wider. You go from 7. Huh. Why do you think that is?
What did? Oh well, you because you're a fish and you gave the seventh player 10K in chips, which is 1/3 of a big blind, and he's all in next hand. so, so I was actually probably wrong about with my guess, but
You should really get a different coach. Serious. What is
so it's
that?
81. So it's tighter, right?
Yeah, it's like 85. It's 3% tighter.
Okay. Yeah.
Calling ranges basically stayed the same. They changed a little bit, or they're the same, I think.
But BB stayed the same, and the other two tightened up a little bit.
If I go to 8 players,
It's gonna be.
hold on, he has 8,000. Fuck me.
I think it's gonna tighten up again a little bit.
This is weird. Oh no, so it went up a little bit, right?
Yeah, I think just like a couple of percent, right?
So why do you think that is?
Um, it's probably it probably has something to do with how the payout structure is set up.
Yeah, I guess because the jump from 8th to 4th, 8th to 7th is relatively bigger incrementally than from 7th to 6th.
Is it? It's still. I mean, they're both 1%. Oh,
Yeah, like the proportionally bigger.
yeah, yeah. Okay,
Relatively is the strong word because I'm
that
stupid.
make that makes sense. Yeah.
So from 9th to 8th, given the payout structure, what do you think is going to happen?
Uh, I didn't see the payout structure, but without seeing it, I don't. I think it's going to be. We're going to be able to.
Here's the structure.
Okay, so it goes up 0.6%. I think we should be able to shove wider a little bit, but I don't really know. I don't really have a good feeling for why. Still,
Let's see the answer. I'm gonna stop eating because that's probably annoying.
if it's the first hand of the final table, I think we also should be shoving extra wide.
It's any two.
Yeah, but it's a stack. It's because of the stack size of UTG.
Oh my god. Go, motherfucker. Yeah, so it goes down to 80.
Yeah. Hmm.
So,
I
interesting.
mean, my guess at why it goes down is because the stack sizes of the players left to act. I mean, everyone except for us has pretty close to the same stack, and because the pay jump from 9th to 8th is pretty minuscule, they're not really incentivized to fold more. Like they're more incentivized to call off a bit wider because because of the difference.
Yep, they can call off a bit wider. Yep.
Yeah.
And a way we can run this and see if there's an effect. So, like, What if we kept the calling range as constant, right? So if we only change one variable. So the problem is we're changing two, right? So let's just change one. So 9 to 8 players, same calling ranges, right? It was 80% last time. Now it's
I think
77.
um, I thought the calling ranges changed.
Oh, all right. So let me do it again. 3, 3. I'm not calculating Nash. I'm making sure these stay the same.
Okay, all right.
So we only change one variable. So with 8 players, we could shove 77% with those calling ranges. For 9 players, we could shove 80%.
Huh. Okay.
For 7 players with the same calling ranges, you can shove 76%. So it went 80 for 9, 77 for 8, 76 for 7.
Is that just because our stack is worth more? When with less players left, our stack is worth more.
Well, let's test that theory out. So EV of folding with 6 players left, your stack is worth 3288, and don't worry about that. Why it's so much in a small buy-in.
Okay. Yeah.
7 players is worth. Should have had you do this on your side and click the buttons. It's way better. 3163.
What was it before? I'm sorry, I forgot.
38 something.
With how many
Six
players?
left. 6 left
And the 7 it went down. Okay.
to 31, and then
Yeah. So I think that's probably why we can. I mean, that's the only thing that changes, right? If we keep villain's calling range is the same, when that's the only thing that changes is the value of our stack.
yeah, the value of everybody's stack changes, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, the value of our stack changes based on how many players are left, and I think it depends on the pay jumps as well. But I think a pretty good principle is the less. So let's do 5 again. So same calling range as 5. That's 70. And then with 4, that's 70. And so these stay the same, right? So let's see if our stack goes to 3500, right?
Uh-huh.
And then with 5 left, our stack is worth. Calculate this. So our stack went up, but our shoving stood the same. So now we know there must be another factor, like logically, right?
It stayed the same from 6 to 5.
Yep.
Okay.
From 5
Yes.
to 4, actually. Yep.
Well, is it because?
Are there no antes in this fucking calculation? God damn it.
Oh, the whole time there was none.
No, the whole time there was none. But
Oh
the
man.
principles still apply. But
Yeah.
the whole time there was none.
It's just the ranges are going to change quite a bit with antes, but yeah, the principles are all still the same.
And the principles are what matter. Like, you can't possibly memorize every single ICM spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm retarded anyway, so get a new coach. God.
Ugh. I didn't notice it either.
Yeah. So, anyways, we spent a lot of fucking time on one hand. But I think we learned a lot going over this one hand. Right?
Oh yeah, it was cool. I mean, it wasn't really a hand; it was more just general concepts. So
Yeah, so, yeah, so we kind of tested your hypothesis, right? Because the stacks, like, seeing the shoving range stay the same, but then his stack, the amount of his stack is worth go up and down, like, it must be something else too, right? And I was going to say antes, and that's why I looked if there was an ante, and there's no antes in play.
oh man, yeah, interesting, yeah.
So, the effect would probably be different if there was antes in play too. So, all right,
Yeah.
let's check out one more thing and we'll be done with this. I just want to see what your realistic shoving range should be in this spot, given what they actually call with, because I think that would be nice to know.
Yeah.
So what they actually call with is something like this. Like that, we said?
Hmm.
That's pretty close to accurate. And took this guy to 12. Like that.
Hmm. Yep. It's hard to say. I mean, that might be a bit wide for BB, but I mean, well, he only has 10 bigs, so yeah, never mind. That's fine. That looks fine.
Yeah, okay. So 63%. And let's see the Nash for this spot with antes in play. Because we were looking at Nash with no antes. It didn't
Yeah.
change much. But yeah, well actually, so
Are,
you should
well,
shove. Go ahead.
I think we were both about to say the same thing, but yeah, I was just gonna say our shoving range changed quite a bit, a decent amount.
Yeah, okay. So, and this
Yeah.
guy's actual call range changed quite a lot actually.
Yeah. The other two didn't, which is kind of surprising. The other two calling ranges.
Yeah, it's really surprising actually. Why do
Hmm.
you think that is?
Um, I don't really know. I mean, they did change a little bit, but
Yeah, I think the reason is that them winning extra chips isn't a big deal, but chips are
that makes
worth more to
sense.
this guy, so
Yeah.
it's a bigger deal, I suppose.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and okay, so we should shove like 60 something percent here, not 30, which makes more sense to me. So that didn't make
Yeah.
sense to me at all. So about 50%. Okay, because yeah, shoving 30 and 20 just made no sense to me. And that was a mistake on my part. Like I should have been like, "Hey, what the fuck's going on?" It's just something's just really out there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's another rule which I didn't obey and wasted a bunch of our time or used our time inefficiently. Uh, if something like just seems like really crazy out there, like double check if you didn't that you didn't fuck up.
Yeah, that happens all the time in these calculators.
Yeah. Especially if you're doing something with me, always double check that I'm not fucking up. Man,
Will do.
fucking up is my thing. And this last hand, I want to look at.
If you're not fucking up, you're doing something wrong.
Thanks, bro. So this guy opens, and we rip. And the blinds are 12.5k, 25k.
And seat 236 opens
Yeah.
with only one. Well, if he was only dealt one card, I think we can rip any two, right?
Yeah, especially if that card's a deuce. It's a really good shove.
So wait, so no, really though, it's 12. It was 12.25. He min raises basically a little bit over min raise. I think it's wait 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, is this? Yeah, this is the chip leader. Okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think he should have an extremely wide opening range. He can't raise call very often. He's folding like probably 80% or something, or probably 60 to 80% of the time he's folding to my shove. Um, yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good jam spot.
Let's see, brother. Alright. So he raises, and I don't know, we're just gonna slide it to 50. You jam. What does this guy call your jam with?
Ooh,
Small blind?
yeah, it looks good.
He has 200. He has 10 big, so.
I think that looks pretty good.
Alright, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah,
Big
that's
blind calls you with. That, I guess.
yeah. I don't know. Ace Jack's questionable, but whatever. I think it's fine.
We could tweak around. So you're only shoving 12 bigs on this guy, so his calling range could vary quite a lot, is the problem.
And
Let's run a few different ones, and like if you think I'm wrong, that's fine. But let's just see what's going on. Okay, so this is him folding to jam pretty damn often, like
okay,
70 something% of the time.
what? Really? Is this real?
All right, so antes are in play. There are 6 players left. There's no ridiculous stack size anywhere. Yeah,
This seems insane to me. Um,
let's move this because that's shenanigans. Let's see if that changes things.
what was that range?
That was like if you fold, how wide is a small blind gonna get it in?
Oh, okay.
Which changed the hand. Like, it had him shoving any two, which was insane. Anyways, so yeah, you can't jam that wide.
Hmm.
Cannot jam that wide. Even with pretty. And let me tweak the calling ranges. So the problem is you bust 17% of the time, which is pretty damn high. What if I do this? So we thought these were questionable, right?
Well, I would be more concerned about his changing his opening range than his calling range. Like, I think you have him opening maybe a bit tighter than he's actually opening. Um,
All right, let's see.
uh,
Let's do 60. There we go. So with 60 and with this tighter calling range, it is good.
changed my range changed a lot there.
Yeah.
Um,
And with that, it's bad. But the problem is, like, there's metagame scenarios or whatever, but, like, I can understand you shoving if you understand that you have to be really confident he's opening very wide. And you have to
yeah,
be confident that, well, I guess you just have to be confident he's opening like 60 something%, because he's opening 50, your play's just pretty damn bad.
yeah, and he also has to be calling somewhat tight,
Yeah. Yeah, he also
which
would be calling somewhat tight, too.
I mean the calling tight. I didn't really have a good feel for quite how tight he would call, but I really felt that he was opening like I don't know, even 70+%. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, okay.
Um, but
Doesn't seem too unreasonable with the stack and everything. Just understanding like your stack is worth a lot. Busting really sucks, so you can't jam that wide.
yeah, makes sense. And then this is part of why when he limped the kings, why I felt that that was a pretty capped range. Because I had done this, but
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Um. So yeah. Trying to think if we could tweak anything. Like, do you think tweaking the stack sizes could be interesting here? Like, will have an interesting effect if I have this guy have like 400K or something.
Um,
Let's just see. All right. So that guy's 400K, keeping everything else the same. And you could shove 18%. And what was it last time?
what did he have before for a stack?
200K.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
So it goes from 18 to 11 just by changing the fucking cutoff.
It's wow. It's one thing I've taken away from this session is just like how when you just make one really small change or seemingly small change, how much that affects everything.
Yeah, nobody I know is like really looking at the spot. Well, cutoff has, this amount of chips or whatever. So, you know what I mean. And the reason is like, so check this out. A cool thing you alluded to was how much your stack is worth, right? So when he has 200K, your stack is worth 2,038. And when he has 400K, your stack is worth 1949. So your stack changed quite a bit in value.
Yeah.
So the principle is figuring out how much your stack is worth, basically. Like, counting everybody's stack and just being like, oh, 200K, blah, blah, blah. Like, understanding what your stack is worth is a pretty big deal here. So the idea is to go around the spot and be like, well, my stack is actually worth quite a bit here because there's 3 players lower than me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if there was 4 players lower than you, so we're going to do 4 players lower than you, your stack is going to be worth way more. And wait, what the fuck? Why doesn't that change much? Oh, I put this guy at. Let me put this guy back to 200K.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so your stack is worth way more. So you go down to 9%.
Interesting. This makes me like going over all this stuff makes me want to play single table sit and goes. It just seems like really fun to like kind of. It's just so much to consider.
Yeah, everyone thinks ICM's easy. It's really tough, and we're not even getting into like metagame concerns because ICM doesn't really model the world perfectly.
Yeah.
Which is annoying, but yeah, these principles are pretty important, and there's another like effect. So when your shoving range is already tight, changing variables that make it tighter aren't going to have a big effect, right? So if you know your shoving range is already like on the low end of the spectrum, 12%, the odds of like, if you tweak something, it's going to go to like 10, 9, 8, 7. It's not going to be that huge of a difference, right? But if you tweak something on the side of shoving wider, the effects can be greater. Does that make sense? Like logically?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And vice versa. Like if you could jam like 80 something percent trying to look for excuses to shove wider, then that isn't going to have a big effect,
Sure. Makes sense.
So yeah, bunch of stumbles and bumbles and good times and good shit. So seems like a pretty Daryl and Doug type session.
It does, absolutely.
So yeah, let's have more good stuff and less fuck ups this time.
We had no audio issues, which was nice. I mean, that little thing.
Oh come on, dude, you ruined it. That was definitely gonna be